So, the Bhagavad Gita, the Song of God, and ah, this is uh, Nana Karm Sana's Yag, the Yag of knowledge and the disciplines of action. This is chapter 4, the Song of God, Bhagavad Gita. I love reading this holy book. Okay, so it's a psalm, and so I'm going to, of course, I like to read whenever I read a chapter. I like to read the complete chapter. So I've read uh, three already, and this is the fourth one, and it just helps me to stay disciplined. So I'm going to read the overview first, and then I'll go into the scriptural side. And I'll be sure to, as I move from scripture to scripture, to post or share the scripture that I'm reading. But the commentary side, I'll just kind of just go through the commentary. It says to strengthen. So Arjun, we know that Arjun is the centerpiece of, I mean, everything, this whole story is happening around Arjun's, I would imagine, split decision to press forward into a huge battle. Okay, in short. So, so it says to strengthen Arjun's faith in the knowledge he is imparting. This is so who is imparting this knowledge would be Shree Krishna reveals its pristine origin in this chapter. He says, Arjun, as you are my devotee and a dear friend, that's interesting. A god to refer to his, I would say, a follower, worshiper, devotee as also a dear friend. Um, some like to incorporate family even. So, but family, but to hear dear friend is really beautiful. It says, right, a dear friend to a deity, actually would be the top god. Krishna, as in Krishna, is the he was a personality, personifications of many aspects of God, that's a beautiful concept. Um, I am revealing this supreme science of Yog to you. Yog, okay. Yog, Yog. It is the same eternal science that I taught to the sun god at the beginning of time. So every it seems like every as you would say being, right, in like an eternal being, is taught in an eternal science. Now Yog, right, um is yoga, is Yog is considered a science in the Bhagavad Gita, which is beautiful because and this is in parentheses. Oftentimes you can connect with uh, yoga, as they refer to it as well, as a philosophy, like a philosophy, a way of life. And it's supposed to have very like scientific, well documented benefits, right? Yoga, quieting the mind, etc. The the abilities of the brain, the human mind, right? So all that in parentheses. So in the Bhagavad Gita, it's more than just a practice, but it's considered a science, and it actually states that in within the scriptures of the Bhagavad Gita. Now, because now we also have to consider this is about roughly I believe 5 centuries before the BC era. Yes, so it has history, as we can say. uh, in fact, ancient, I would say ancient history, which is beautiful considering when we read the about the life, because this is a record and documentation of how humanity thought of one another. And of course, if you followed along in my past chapters, um, then you know my sentiments on the fact that for such an ancient civilization, they certainly had a sense of family, which is amazing because we don't really think of our ancient four families or ancestors as as being well, first of all, therapeutic, um, more apt to what they okay. Arjun has um, a conflict with killing, with the idea of killing, let alone killing family. So a sense of family. Oh, this is deep. This epic is deep to be written so long ago. Before now, this is not to take. By the way, this is not into comparison the the Song of God and the Holy Bible, right, or the Abrahamic faiths. However, this more so um, it proves that there is a tie and a connection. However, the Bhagavad Gita is its own holy scripture, as well as the the Holy Bible is its holy and unique scripture. But in their uniqueness, not similarities, in their direct uniqueness is a beautiful orchestration of orchestrated um, consciousness, like human consciousness. And in fact, if they were sitting all at the table, which I'm coming to understand in my search for this unique wisdom, is that there are a few, if you would say, personifications of head deities. If they were sitting around a table, they would be the dream team because their what's the word that they're using these days? Their morale, their morality is is identical to each other. They all agree. If I name them right now, I'll get distracted. But I'll tell you this: I've calculated four that expressly, and now, and considering that this is the Bhagavad Gita truly believes in, let's say, the idea that that mortals, human beings, men and women, have this divine um, right to a sense of freedom and liberty, and even is admiring one who will stand and fight. And of course, it is it is suggested directly by Krishna. In fact, this is what the entire Holy Scripture between uh, the Avatar Lord Krishna, Shree Krishna, is is having a converse with it's conversing with Arjun, a warrior, and one who is engaging a battle. But this is no ordinary battle because we talk about battles between nations, but this is an infighting battle. These are the men of renown, the best of their skill and of their craft, of their warriors, of their warrior-like ability, their fighting abilities. But they're not fighting strangers. They're fighting actual family members and in-laws. They're fighting each other. And now they're fighting each other, they're also trying to oppress each other. I mean, it just goes so deep into the world of family, and what does it mean to be family, and what does it mean to when we have to stand up for what's right. But I can't talk about this without going all the way back to the beginning. So we're gonna have to leave this here. I'm so sorry. We're gonna have to leave this here. I know it's kind of like a cliffhanger, like standing off the edge of a cliff, but and I shouldn't want to leave it like that. But I just wanted just to kind of touch on how personal that the Bhagavad Gita gets, how personal Lord Krishna gets with Arjun, this a deity gets with the devotee Arjun. So back to the yoga being a science. So I would imagine that um, much like Aristotle wanted metaphysics, when he wrote the book Metaphysics and coined it, he wanted a science that allows humanity, society, to study and to look at a hard look at themselves, an empirical look into themselves, and genuine and sincere. So I'm imagining that the holy scriptures is wanting this with yoga, because yoga is looking deep within, right? Reflection of one's inner self and how it resonates with one's outer world. We'll get into that because Krishna does a really great job explaining that. So plus, I want to get to the scripture side of things. I haven't even scratched the surface. I haven't even really started. So I better try to get through this. Oh yeah, by the way, I love to talk about I love reading scriptures, and it's a gift of mine. I get a insight. So when I'm not doing psychic readings, I love to read the ancient holy scriptures and interpret them. That's part of the gift. And I found an outlet for that gift um, that I would love to share with everybody. So today is the Bhagavad Gita. So it says, "It is the same eternal science that I taught to the sun god at the beginning of time. And in a continuous tradition, the same knowledge was passed on to the saintly kings." Arjun wonders how someone who is almost his age could exist so many eons ago. He's looking at the eternal. And so Krishna's got some explaining to do. Like, who are you, man? But Arjun is getting ready to understand that this is no ordinary man. He asks Sri Krishna, how is it possible that you gave this knowledge to the sun god and the others, kings before kings before kings? Arjun is just a prince, by the way, at this time, who is in war with a king who, and by the way, there's a seer and the king couldn't make it because the king usually would come to the battlefield, but he's ailing and he's a man of age, and so his, if you want to, or they call him his sage, who is who has special mental abilities like clairvoyancy, etc., clairaudience, and he's observing the battlefield from the castle, and is relaying information to the king. Oh yeah, he has the ability to see far, like miles and miles away. All of that, and know what's going on as if though he's present. The sage, I mean. Anyways, so that's how the epic opens up, and and probably Arjun is unaware of any of this. That there is literally a supernatural, spiritual battle for his, not only his, I would imagine his soul and his mind, but literally his freedom. And I'm getting way too deep. I'm starting to talk about other chapters. So let's talk about this chapter 4. So he asks, you know, Lord Krishna, how is it possible that you gave this knowledge to the sun god and the others so many years back in time? Shree Krishna clarifies Arjun's doubt and discloses the divine mystery of his uh, decision. He says that although God is unborn and eternal, it is to establish Dharma, the path of righteousness, and that he descends on this earth by his Yagmaya power. Maya is a term for illusion. Yog is the form of course, the science of the yog, the meditation, and which he's going to explain uh, to the devotee Arjun. He says his birth and activities are divine and cannot get tainted by material imperfections. Once a devotee knows this secret and engages in devotion with great faith, another word that word faith is synonymous throughout the um, Hebrew Hamitic faiths and religions. Faith. He attains God oneness, he attains God capitalized, and does not take birth in this world again. And that is clarification of um, Lord Krishna explaining it's not the purpose to engage many reincarnations and better, getting perfected, living better lives. It's not that's not the end goal. That one strives to make their experience on the world earth better lifetime to lifetime, right? So let's read that last sentence one more time. Once a devotee knows this secret, which is his birth and activities are divine, he's a divine spark, he is from a source, or as we say, God, and cannot get tainted by material imperfections, that is, lifetime to lifetime, making character improvements, spiritual improvements, mental improvements, becoming a good soul, a good person, spiritually and physically and mentally and emotionally. Once a devotee knows his secret and engages in devotion with great faith, faith means works, by the way. That means you have to be active. Yog, science is active. He attains God. He attains God. That's one. Two, and does not take birth in this world again. Because attaining God means you becoming one with God. And stop. So, so this brings us to the next section of this intro before scripture. Um, so then Sri Krishna goes back to Karm Yog, or if we might, can we say Karma Yoga? Okay, but Karm Yog, and of course it goes on to explain. It says the subject from the okay, so this was from the chapter 3, and it said the subject from the previous chapter. He continues. Krishna is speaking to Arjun to explain the nature of work and its three principles: action. So this is describing faith. So faith is action, in action, and forbidden action, or works, right? But the experience is translated as, in terms of the science, is karm. Karm Yog. So, okay, so the process is Karm Yog according to these holy scripture. So, Lord Krishna elaborates that Karm Yogis, even while performing the most engaging tasks, are in the state of inaction, most likely because um, without the, I guess, the faith side, it's just as is being described, um, are in the state of inaction and do not get entangled in the karmic reactions in such actions because they have no attachments. So, as they say, what you're putting your faith into, what you're putting your expectations into, it's just a matter of performing the action, because when you perform the action and you're not looking for the, what they call it, the response, you're engaging it because it's the right action. Now remember, we have to take into account that this discussion, what brings up this discussion, why is Krishna speaking with Arjun about this? Because Arjun is over contemplating the results. So, as it states in one of the past chapters, able a karm yogis, can perform and engage in tasks without worry or concern for the results, which is, in other words, consequential. What's consequential? If I do this, this happens. If I do this, I'm fearing this will happen. And now this book is very specific. It's very detailed. It expresses the fact that he has to. There's no other way to say it. If he's at, I mean, it's war. It's a battle. So that means he's got to kill. So this means that, and this is not like other. Remember, this is not like strange nations. These are like brethren. Brethren. In fact, it's all any role that a man can play. The women are at home, by the way, but the men are on the battlefield. We're talking, so in every role that a man can play in your family, he's on the battlefield on the opposite side. And but likewise, to be fair, facing them along with Arjun are also brethren, cousins, uncles, great uncles, granddaddies, great granddaddies, uh, fathers, in-laws, daddy-in-law, all the whole well-wishers, the best friend to the groom, all of it, all of them, any role. It was very it gave a list like at least 3 times of all the roles that a man can play. Literally, this is close to home. If you cannot put two and two together, this is literally family and family. All the men, family versus family. So Arjun is in a dilemma. Like, even if I do this, I mean, it goes deeper than even just being family. Like, what I have to celebrate the fact, okay, what's the purpose? I take their kingdom, what? Or I lose the kingdom, and then what? That they give all the riches, all the happy, and I'm supposed to be happy when I should be with my family, sharing all the riches, all the wealth, all of the great vast cities that we will raise and amass. But it comes to a war. So you see how deep that goes? And this is I mean, this is ancient. like like they said, like five 5 centuries. I mean, they're thinking like this. I mean, we have to really think what let's kind of revise, like, what were people thinking about in these times, in these ancient times, when it comes to, I mean, I mean, that's the whole family dynamic today. There's not one role that a man to play. eliminated or left out or not realized, actualized. So we're working through our own Maya, or illusion, I mean. So anyway, let's continue. So it says, okay, so Krishna elaborates that the Karm yogis, even while performing the most engaging task, are in the state of inaction and do not get entangled in the karmic reaction of such action. Knowing this, the ancient sages performed all their work as an act of sacrifice for the pleasure of God. See, that's another synonymous element. Everything you do, faith for the pleasure of God. Um, Faith without the work is not pleasing to God. So yeah, and faith meaning this is describing the ancient description of does that even mean? It means that you like in Arjun's case, to have faith that he is doing the right thing, and that because he has faith in it, he's doing the right thing, that he's by not believing, even if he goes into this, um, and it becomes, just another task. It doesn't, there's no reaction that is negative because of the faith that is involved into this as a sacrifice. That standing Krishna isn't telling him anything, that because the question was, is this evil? Because killing it, by the way, this is even 5 centuries before the Christ era comes. He already knows that killing is evil. He said, first of all, killing is a sin. He uses the word sin. Then secondly, he says, but it's even more egregious, that the fact that I'm going to do this to blood relatives and family members, or best friends to the family. Like, why are we even doing this? But guess what? The other side are intending to do exactly that. And so he's saying, have faith. In other words, he says they were not affected by that. So faith is, I'm not going to be affected by whether if it makes me happy. Like he says, how can me taking over, even if I take all the cities and they're not here to enjoy it with me as a family, how is that going to bring me happiness? I'm not worried about the happiness. The distress of what if I fail, the fact that I have to, I'm there's infighting amongst members. Okay. And then the success, of course, the success is, okay, so I win and I achieve everything. I've got all the riches. Okay. Next. Okay. And then, or failure. What if I die? In fact, he says, and rather than fight, he says it would be better if his cousins just take up their instruments of war and just slay him, because that seems more righteous than slaying them and taking all the, their part of the, I guess, the kingdom. And so Lord Krishna is there saying, I have a better idea. See it from this point of view, etc. Have faith. So he explains that when sacrifice is suitably, okay. Let's back this up. So how do you know when it's wrong and when it's right? Like, do you even think about that? Is that considerate? Because couldn't one have faith in all the wrong things? So Lord Krishna explains that when sacrifice is suitably dedicated, performed with proper knowledge and pure sentiments, then its remnants become like nectar. That's interesting. That is a very interesting concept. And it says, and by partaking such nectar, the devotees that would be you, Arjun, are cleansed of all sin or impurities. Even the biggest sinner can cross over the ocean of material miseries by, the misery of, okay, I have to do this. But if I have faith, by boarding this boat of eternal knowledge. So Lord Krishna says that such knowledge should be acquired only from a genuine spiritual master who himself is God realized. God realized. Being his guru, Lord Krishna instructs Arjun to cut apart all doubts, leave his doubts to the side, have faith that have arisen in his heart, faith in the heart, right? Also, faith comes by listening, so that hence arisen in his heart with his sword of knowledge. Knowledge, faith comes by hearing, the sword of knowledge. He asks Arjun is now get up and perform his duty as a warrior. And close.